Hi, I'm Elizabeth Cawelti. I am a pet portrait artist living in the Los Angeles area. Today I'm going to be talking about my Jack Russell Terrier painting, which you see in front of you, and I'm going to attempt to describe the technical approach I take to painting a pet portrait by looking at 8 stages of this particular painting. Let's start by talking about materials. I use Liquitex Heavy Body Professional Acrylics. For a painting like this one, I will primarily use cadmium red light, aqua magenta, cadmium yellow medium, ultramarine blue, Mars black, and titanium white. I only have a few other colors in my palette. I keep my palette pretty simple, and I prefer to do a lot of mixing, which really allows for a lot of the shading that I do happens through the mixing of colors rather than the blending of edges. I only use a few well-worn brushes, 4 or 5 brights of varying sizes depending on the size of the painting. I really push the paint around. I use the heavy body paint. I don't use a lot of water, so I need a bright to really move that paint. Okay, to start, I'm just going to create a very basic sketch to map the painting. When I do this, I'm marking the boundaries between the light and dark areas, as well as trying to capture the basic overall shape. I don't mess with pencils or with charcoal. I just like to start with paint. And typically I'll mix a little cadmium red with a little ultramarine blue. It kind of makes a color that's similar to black without being black. Black is usually too strong, and it's going to take a lot of layers of paint to kind of keep it from looking like a heavy outline later on. I also like to mix color so that it'll vary through the sketch, and that kind of reminds me that it's a sketch and not a drawing, so I can make adjustments as I go along. The next step is to block in the basic color areas. I never use black at this stage. I'm kind of going for mid-tones, and of course there's a lot of white in this dog, so there isn't really a lot of mid-tone for that. But you'll see that I just am mixing in a little blue, a little red into the shaded areas on the white, and for the rest I'm just kind of blocking in, not with a solid color. That's why I like to mix colors, so that a little bit of that yellow comes up, a little bit of the red comes up, a little bit of the blue comes up as it goes along. Once I've blocked in the figure, I'm going to give a basic coloring to the background. In this case, I'm kind of going with a sketchy grass look, so I've picked kind of a grassy color to go with. And again, I've mixed the color so that sometimes it's looking greener, sometimes it's looking a little black, sometimes it's looking a little bit yellow. I like to have that variation in play in that basic color layer. And as you can see, a lot of the original outline, the sketchy outline that I did before, has already been absorbed into the painting. By putting in this green background for contrast, it really helps the dog to pop out. And it really helps those white areas in particular to jump forward. Okay, now it's time for shadows, and to really use those shadows, and a little bit like an outline, to really create the form or to round the form out. I'm still not using black, pure black at this time. Now I'm kind of mixing black with a little cadmium red or a little ultramarine blue. I'm really giving a defined shape to the dog at this point. So the differences between the last slide and this one are very subtle, but they're very important. Now I'm kind of working on shading, and I'm using a lot of color patches in there. I'm kind of picking something halfway between the shadow and the light area and just kind of blending it in. I'm working here too. You can see on the ears I put some purple in, and I've added a real cool white on the back of the dog for a little reflected light. And I've also been working the shadow that's underneath the chin, which is really subtle because the white doesn't go very dark when it's shaded. Next I'm going to do some shading into the grass, and this is going to be to build the shadow a little bit, but also to help build the picture as a composition, because I'm going to put dark areas against the white and lighter areas against the dark, just to kind of help balance the picture. The next part of the painting is pretty much just a lot of blending, making small corrections, and checking into details, especially working on the face, and just making sure that the areas of light and dark are turning well, that nothing looks wrong, and also putting that detail into the feet and paws. The last step is to use the true black, and that's to define the final detail. So at this point I'm pretty happy with the shape that I have, and I'm ready to really mark it out clearly. That means I've worked on the collar. In addition to, I've lightened the background behind the ears so the black really pops there, and I've just gone through and very sketchily kind of reinforced some of the outline of the dog with the black, the shadow with the black. And of course I've also gone in and put those popping white highlights on the eyes that really bring the painting to life. Alright, so that's it. I hope you found this overview helpful. If you have questions about technique, or if you want to see more pet portraits, please visit my website, www.vividpetportraits.com. And I have to shill for a minute and say pet portraits do make great gifts, and I'm currently taking commissions for Christmas. And prices are, I keep my prices nice and low, just $50 for a 6-inch by 8-inch painting. So email me or visit my website if you're interested in that. And thanks again.